I've lived in Huntington Beach since 1993, and even in the short time we lived here, almost 20 years, there's just been dramatic changes. And Dick, you told me you got here in 1960, and it's dramatically changed since then.
Yeah.
There's still bigger and better stuff yet to come. We have a hole in the ground right now in Pacific City. That's going to come online. We have all these luxury apartments that are going to be being built here. RJ's got to do a hotel project from what I understand. And this is just fantastic stuff. The key is that when you get this sort of economic activity, everybody wins. It brings the jobs, it brings the attractions, it brings up property values. This is all very, very good stuff. And I'm very pro-development, I'm very pro-growth. I think that growth has to be done appropriately. You know, we don't need a billion signs, you know, everywhere and gaudy businesses, and there's certain sort of business we might not want to town. But when we have, you know, these really quality projects, I think it's great that, you know, we have the support of people like you. It's great that you're coming out, because this is the kinds of things that we need to see in California. We need to see more business. This is what gets us down from 11% unemployment rate. Mike, what kind of business do you do? What buildings and development projects?
Well, we represent two projects, which are school site conversions to single-family tracts right now. So that'll be from council by this fall, working on a shopping center in Atlantic Beach. Time property owner finally pulled everything together and has been working on it. Dick's worked on the project with him a long time too, so he started that project back in the late 70s and is finally getting it to fruition this year.
Late 70s.
Wow.
How many
Wow.
years?
Just a couple.
Yeah.
I had red hair when I started.
Great, let me bring everybody over. This is Ed Laird. Ed runs a plastics coating firm, as well as other sorts of industrial processes. Ed is a real trooper. Ed and I just met a few months back. We met socially before the Flag Day dinner. I've been involved politically for a couple of years. And I just got, Ed and I were listening to the former U.S. Ambassador to the UN, John Bolton, speak. He came on Monday morning for breakfast. And we got a chance to talk, and you know, I was getting Ed's story, and he's got this industrial process company. And I said, actually, I'm really surprised you're still in California, because this is not really a very easy place to do business. And he said, thanks, I know. You know, so he fights all the state regulatory boards. We also have the local AQMD, and you know, I really applaud people like Ed. You know, whether it's stubbornness, tenacity, or you know, anything else, you're still here.
I applaud the people like RJ. He's smarter than the right one.
But you know, here's the thing. When I grew up, my mother was on the California Coastal Conservancy for 12 years, which she also chaired. She was appointed by Dick Major. Then she was appointed by Pete Wilson to the California Coastal Commission for 2 years. That was actually my first experience in Huntington Beach. One time they all came and met here, and that's actually RJ when I met your father. I mean, growing up, I heard about all these things. I heard about all the fights up and down the coast. I'm sure you've dealt with all these things. And, you know, we are a Republican household. We were not, we had no illusions about what growth meant and the value of growth. But at the same time, you know, I grew up environmentally conscious and conservation minded. I think that, you know, if you abuse the resources that you have, we don't get to enjoy them forever. So there is a place for conservation, there is a place for environmental impact, but it does have a place, but it's not everywhere. I mean, there's a point at which you can basically stop business by making people do endless EIRs and comply with endless regulations. And some of these people in these agencies, they really believe that the first answer is no, the second answer is no, and the last answer is also going to be no. So thanks so much for trying to go take your business to Arizona. And this is clearly wrong.
But did you like our process?
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. And thanks for keeping us in business. And by the way, we're going to grow, right? And these are the government servants. So I'm not anti-government at all, but I think government has a proper role. I think the proper role of government is a fewfold. Number one, the government exists to protect you from without. It exists, so basically your foreign enemies. It exists to protect you from within, so you don't get robbed in your house or mugged down the street. It exists to enforce contract laws, so we can all do business together. Right? So we know that when we contract for service, you're going to pay me and I'm going to perform the service. And if we don't, there's a court of redress where we can get remedy. This allows us all to be productive. And then lastly, I think the government exists to provide a basic social safety net. Basic, I said. I think that government begins to expand. Like any organism, it just wants to grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger. I was driving in the other day and I listened to NPR. Sorry, but I was listening to NPR. And I heard a story. They were actually very disappointed. They said, you know, California no longer qualifies for a certain portion of Fed Ed. And what they were talking about is Previously, we had 99 months of unemployment, and now it's only going to be 99 weeks of unemployment. Now it's going to be 79 weeks of unemployment. But wait a second. You mean before you could be unemployed for 2 years, and now you can only be unemployed for a year and a half? And you just think about this, and you think about the sort of behavior it incentivizes. It incentivizes you to not go out and find a job because you're getting a paycheck to not go out and find a job. In my mind, this is patently wrong. You want to incentivize a sort of behavior like Ed has been doing, and like Dick, and Mike, and RJ, and everyone else in this room. That goes out there every single day. You put on your suit, your tie, you shave your face, and you go and you try to do business and make some money. Not because you're greedy. Okay? You want to produce things because it maintains your standard of living, whatever else it happens to be. But at the same time, by doing that, you're providing value for other people. How many rooms do you have here, RJ?
We have 300 here, 118 next door.
There you go, 818 rooms. That's real value. I mean, if you want to stay on the coast, the Shorebreak has how many rooms?
30.
Yeah, I mean, come on, there's not enough capacity. So RJ supplies capacity, and when he's doing that, yes, he gets to make a nice dollar, and I hope he makes a ton of money. I'm all in favor you make as much as possible. But then when these people stay here, they visit all of our attractions, they visit all of our stores and restaurants. They enjoy our facilities and then pay for them. This is exactly what we're here to do. So my basic concept is that Sacramento's got way out of control. It's just way out of whack, and it needs to be reined in. Okay. What we're essentially looking at is lowering taxes, rolling back burdensome business regulations. Many people here have heard me speak before. I'm going to give you some of my favorite numbers again to bring up, to really shine a spotlight on what's wrong with California. California, in the nation, has the second highest personal income tax. We have the sixth highest business tax. We have the second highest gas tax. And we have the highest capital gains tax in the entire country. This is fundamentally wrong. Beyond this, the tax burden is not shared equally. We have 37 million people in California. 144,000 pay over 50% of those taxes. So you look around the room and guess what? We're all part of that 144,000, I'm guessing. If you would think that this economically disincentivizes you to want to live in California, guess what? You're exactly right. Between 1992 and 2008, 869,000 people have left California for Texas, for Arizona, for Nevada, for Oregon. My own folks left 15 years ago for Oregon. I'm not going to say it's necessarily just for tax reasons, but guess what? They're not here. They're in Oregon now. They'd had their businesses here for 30 years. It happens. I think we all probably know at least one or two people that have left. So of the 869,000 people that left, in the year that they left, these are all we consider our premium taxpayers, by the way. These are the guys that are paying more than your average rates of tax. In the year that they left, they did not pay $44 billion in tax revenue to the state. I don't know about you, but $44 billion is a lot of money. But it gets worse. They didn't come back. So when they left, they're still in Texas or Florida or Tennessee or wherever else they went. So we didn't just lose their tax revenue in the year that they left. We lost it for all the successive years as well. That $44 billion now is actually $500 billion that they didn't pay into our system. And this is directly a result of our bad policies of excessive taxation and excessive regulation. So what does $500 billion mean? I'll put it in perspective. The $500 billion that we did not receive from these 869,000 people that left the state, our state debt is only well, I say only. In this context, it's only. It is $361 billion today, as we speak today. So if we had an extra $500 billion, we'd not only pay off our state debt, we'd have $139 billion sitting in a rainy day fund for us. And this is why I'm going to Sacramento. To stop the tax increases, is to roll back the burdensome business regulation. So this is where I come from. And I don't come from an ideologic perspective of disliking anyone or not wanting to talk to anyone or anything like this. My perspective is, look, it's economics. If you incentivize good behavior, which is working hard, making money, and producing goods and services, everybody wins. And guess what? They've actually done the math, and it turns out that you have a larger economic pie, so you can actually tax people less, and the government still makes more money because everyone's incentivized to grow more. So that's my basic story. I'll take any questions.